Stopping in traffic. Your awareness of how to control space while stopping in traffic requires that you see and control events to the front and rear of your vehicle. A good driving habit. Identify the need to stop and close in gradually. When stopped behind a vehicle, see its rear tires touching the road. When traveling at the same speed, keep 4 or more seconds of following time. So close in gradually. When you close in gradually, you're keeping open space to the front for a longer period of time. You're able to brake more lightly, communicate early, save wear and tear on your brakes, burn less fuel, and reduce the chances of a skidding crash. Let's compare changing a closed zone to closing in gradually. All right. So did that help? Closing in gradually? You saw the difference between racing up to the light and hitting the brake hard and stopping just barely in time. But when you close in gradually, you give yourself more time to get better information. You also don't have to put so much wear and tear on your car because you're able to coast down at a slower pace, not slam on the brakes, not burning the rubber or causing a skid mark because you locked your tires up. Also keeps you nice and calm in the car. You're not violently thrown forward a little bit in your seatbelt, or give yourself a little bit of mild whiplash. So try to learn how to close in gradually. That's going to be the best situation when you approach a stop sign, or you approach a stoplight, or you're approaching a car, seeing its tires touch the ground, gradually close in to a nice smooth stop. So being aware of it, not waiting until the last second, is what's very vital. So stop to see the tires touching the ground. When you must stop in the line of traffic, Keep about 15 feet of space between you and the vehicle in front. That space gives you an escape route and to avoid a rear-end collision or vehicle breakdown. The space is judged by being able to see the front tire or front vehicle rear tires meeting the pavement. See the back tires of the car in front of you. Monitoring the rear. To reduce the risk of being hit from the rear while you're stopped, monitor the rear zone for fast approaching cars. Continue to check the rear until at least 2 vehicles are stopped behind you. We call these sand barrels. It sounds weird. Like sand barrels, they absorb the force of the impact. As more cars stop behind you, the risk of injury from a rear impact decreases. So these are sand barrels here next to us. Those are usually on a highway or freeway. They're designed for you don't hit the post or the median pillar if there's a bridge or an overhang. But when you're in your car, you're checking your rearview mirror for 2 cars to stop behind you. The reason why is if a car, say a third car comes along and runs into you or runs into the 2 cars behind you, they're going to absorb most of the damage. You probably get bumped by maybe the car that's right behind you. If they hit you and they're directly behind you, you're going to absorb all the damage. So monitor the rear. That way you're not surprised. A lot of times people are caused whiplash because they're not paying attention. They get hit and they didn't brace for impact. They weren't prepared for it. Their body was thrown in a disarray. It's proven that when you know something's coming that's going to hurt, your body tends to have this natural guard up compared to if you're just blindsided by something. For instance, if you throw a ball and someone hits it and it hits you in the head, you kind of had the intention that that could happen. Compared to if someone hits you in the head with a ball you weren't expecting, it tends to hurt more because your body was not preparing for it. It was not giving you the proper levels in your brain, chemical balance, to help you absorb the fact that that was going to hurt. Now, delay your start just 2 seconds. First, we're going to do the monitor the rear. So, we've already talked about looking in the sand barrels. What does that mean? Well, we're going to watch the video and find out. When you brake, check the rear for fast approaching vehicles. I'm not sure where the sound went on this. If it's down. No? So. See right there, we're checking the rearview mirror. We come to a stop. There's a car behind us, and there's a car behind them. So if that van hits them, those two are going to take most of the damage. So at that point, we wouldn't worry about what's happening up here anymore. We just look this way and find out what we're getting ready to go forward, or obviously we're either going to turn one way or going straight across. And we're going straight across. Some of these things are pretty short and pretty sweet, but that's the thing about, that's the beauty about driving, is if you overthink it, you're more likely to cause yourself grief, make mistakes because you're overthinking it. Your body has a natural instinct to not want to get into car accidents, to not want to get hurt. A lot of times when you overthink things, You second guess yourself, and that's when the mistakes happen. So delay your start just 2 seconds. Now what that means is that when the light goes green, instead of gunning into the gas and trying to move across quickly, most obviously, if you saw in the previous lesson, that, in fact, let me go back to that real quick so you guys can get an idea, just a refresher. Just a refresher. There's this one here. This is what happens when you don't wait 2 seconds. It's quick, it's fast, boom. It's only 6 seconds long, but see, the thing is had this car delayed itself for 2 seconds, it has seen this guy was clearly running a red light. And so instead of getting hit, and this car too, had they delayed themselves as well, so that car would have zipped past. Yes, that would have been illegal and he would have been, a jerk for doing that, but they wouldn't have had what happens here. That car does get hit. This car gets slammed into, and because of the force, that car is thrown violently. This car is also thrown violently. And back here, that first car we saw catches fire. You can see it right there, catching fire. So seeing that horrific scene again, I do apologize if that's very graphic. We can go back to this spot here and we can learn to delay our start time. So it takes an average driver 1 second to move. With 4 cars in front of you, it will take you 4 seconds for the line in front of you to move. Whether you're first in line or stop behind another vehicle, delay moving for 2 seconds. That gives you time to be safe, to be sure it's safe to proceed, and begins to establish your 4-second following time. Delayed start. What do you gain by delaying your start for 2 seconds? There's our sound. See, by waiting 2 seconds, we also let the car next to us, like a bus. You don't want to be riding behind or the side of a bus because if someone hits that bus is likely to cave into you. You still make the light, but you create 4 seconds, help start creating 4 seconds of following distance between the car in front of you. And if you're the front car, it keeps you from getting T-boned by somebody running a red light. (1001), 1002. Then you would start to move. The tires spinning continuously in the car in front of you will tell you what that car is about to do. When it starts to spin continuously for 2 seconds, that's when you now go. Moving forward just a little bit is not the same.